Becoming a vegan is a big learning curve, and a lot of people struggle in the beginning. So I have two of my very best tips to share with you today. Firstly, you need 3 or 4 dishes that you can cook in under 15 minutes. So work out what those are and always have those ingredients at hand. But my very favorite tip, and the one that has saved me time and time again from grabbing takeout or cheating, is having chili in the freezer. Actually, wait, I have one more amazing tip. So when I make my chili, I make it quite runny, and that's really good when you're having it on rice or pasta. But if you want to put it into tacos or enchiladas or any of those other things, you need it to be a bit thicker. I use basil seeds. Pour a couple of tablespoons into your chili mix and they will expand and get kind of gelatinous. Very similar to chia seeds, but the health benefits of these are amazing, and it means you can use your chili in so many other recipes. Vegan chili, there's lots of different ways of doing it. For the meat substitute, I like to use a little bit of mushrooms. So in here, I have some dried mushrooms. I've used fresh mushrooms in the past, but I just happen to have a whole bunch of dried mushrooms. So firstly, let's get them rehydrated with a little bit of water. So while we wait for them to rehydrate, I'm going to chop up 2 onions just quickly. Now the reason why I'm putting 2 onions in this is I'm always looking for opportunities to increase the nutrition in meals and decrease the calorie density. So what you want to do in your cooking is try and get as many non-starchy vegetables into each dish as you possibly can. So onions are a fantastic way to do that. It looks like a lot now, but it'll all sort of blend down into the meal, and so you won't notice it. Now lots of chilies have just, your meat and your beans, or your meat alternative and your beans, and they're kind of traditional, they're yummy, it's a Texan way. But like I said, let's try and get as many vegetables as we possibly can. So I'm going to put in some sweet corn and some capsicum. So let's prep those. Now lots of people who make chili on a regular basis have a secret ingredient. Let me know in the comments what your secret ingredient is. Mine is cocoa and molasses. So what I'm kind of hoping to do, so I've got my 2 tins of tomatoes, and I've got 3 tins of beans. So what I'm hoping to do is all these vegetables here will be more than half of the dish. That way it's in line with the starch solution and it's lowering the calorie density. What I'm going to do is just off camera, I'm going to put these in the food processor to mince them up, but I'm also going to reserve that water because that's the water I will use when I'm cooking, because it's all beautiful flavoured broth. Let me show you. Can you see that? Can you see the colour of that? Oh yeah. So it's just like mushroom broth. They have minced up nicely. Do you want to have a look? See that? Little tiny bits of pieces. So that can be our mushrooms, and I've saved the liquid here. And we are ready to start cooking. Right, that's heated up a little bit. Start in with the onions. Oh, that was a nice sizzle. Maybe it's a little bit too hot. Now, you've heard me say this before. I'm going to say it again because this changed my life. You do not need to saute with oil. you can just use a little bit of water to deglaze your pan if you want to. And the thing about oil is, I'm not saying fats are bad. Fats are great. But if you want olive oil, eat the olive. Eat it with all of the nutrition and all of the fibre. Now, while those onions are starting to saute a little bit, I'm going to drain my beans. So I have a can of red kidney beans, a can of black beans, and a can of cannellini beans. And of course you can use whatever type of beans that you like. Now this chilli will make about 12 servings, so put them into the freezer, pull them out whenever you need to. They're lovely over baked potatoes. You can use it on pasta, you can use it with rice, and you can put it on nachos. I do have a healthy nachos recipe, so I might link that into the description if I remember. Just stirring these. And they're starting to get some colour on them. I don't know if you can see that. But they don't yet need any water. So one of the things that makes this chilli layered with different flavours is I'm going to love on each stage and each ingredient. So these onions are going to get nice and caramelised and really release their sugars and get delicious. So sometimes I rush that. These are looking like they've got a bit of colour on them, and I haven't added any water in for a little while. Now the reason why I haven't added any water is because I'm going to move these to the side, and I'm going to try and get a tiny bit of colour on the corn. It doesn't work that good in one of these because the element's all around the outside, but I don't know, let's give it a shot. Alternatively, you could kind of chuck these on a skillet and get a bit of char on them. Or you can have corn on the cob, roll it around on the hob until it gets blackened, and then just slice them off. That would be amazing. Add another layer of flavour. But it's all good. So I'm going to just leave them to get a wee bit of colour. And these are frozen, so that's going to take a little bit of a while, but that's okay. We didn't get a char, but that's all good. I'm just not wanting any of that onion to burn, so let's just incorporate it. Now again, I'm choosing not to put any water at this bit. One, because the corn was frozen, but two, because I'm going to put my spice bits in a minute and you want that to sort of dry roast. I'm happy with the way this is looking. Oh, some of that corn's got a little bit of colour. Yay, it smells good too. So I make my own chilli blend. You can find lots of different chilli blends at the markets. You can find recipes on YouTube or wherever. Or you can just buy a packet mix. Either way, it's okay. So this is a fairly hot chilli mix, but I like it hot. So I'm going to add about probably 3 to 4 tablespoons. I can actually add a little bit later, but what I want to do is make sure primarily I toast the majority of it off in a fairly dry pan. And you'll know it's ready because you'll kind of want to go off like that. Now, the other thing about chilli is you want to cook down your tomato paste a little bit. So it's about now, I'm going to put in some tomato paste. About 1 to 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. Oops. Now it is starting to stick at the bottom, so we don't want to leave that too much longer before we put some moisture in there. But I'm going to let it go right to the edge because it's all flavour. Just don't let it stick. Okay, now in with the mushrooms. That's going to supply us with a little bit more moisture again. the meat, would you? But of course you can like put some Beyond Meat or anything. It's just, you know, I prefer the whole food plant-based route. And seriously, this just tastes just as good. So at the end, we're going to put in some diced walnuts, and that will give us a little bit more of a crunch and a bit more texture, a bit more flavour. And seriously, guys, you will not miss the meat. This is something you could happily serve to your non-vegan friends. I used to make this for my son all the time, and he loved it. So that's now starting to catch a bit more than I want it to. So we're going to add in one of the tins of tomato. Now, I like to get chopped tomato, but I didn't have that in my cupboard. Oh. So we're just going to put that in and chop it up. What we're going to do in a little bit is I'm going to change it to the slow cooker, and we can add the rest of the canned goods into the slow cooker. But I needed to add that 1 tin of tomatoes to get everything off the base, so we don't have any burning, any bitter flavour. And of course they're going to fall apart more in the slow cooker, so we're not getting carried away. Now, a couple of other ingredients. We're going to put an apple in there because sweetness in your chilli is absolutely delicious. Now I have some cacao powder. You can use cocoa powder if you like. That goes in. Another secret ingredient of mine, did I mention molasses? I did, didn't I? About half a tablespoon of that, or a whole tablespoon if you don't put the apples in. We have some chipotle in adobo sauce. I have about a third of this container left, so I'm going to put all of that in. If I can get it out. Tell you what I'll do. I'll get my vegan chicken star stock. Pop a little bit in there. My nan always used to say, waste not, want not. Funny, isn't it, how their voice sticks in your head long after they've gone. That is smelling and looking absolutely amazing. Woo! It's got a bit of a kick to it. Okay, so it's now that I think we can transfer it into the slow cooker, and that can just cook away over the next 5 or 6 hours or until dinner time, and it will be ready to go. All right. Woo! Don't make a mess, not too bad. All right. Again, I'm going to use the stock to make sure I get all of those yummy flavours out. Pop them in. Oh, those good bits from the bottom. I don't know if I accidentally forgot to film that, but I put the next can of those in. I chucked my 3 things of beans in there, and I've emptied out the vegan stock into there. So that is looking really super good. Time to plug it in, put the lid on and put it aside, and that's not going to be needing anything for hours. I might stir it occasionally, give it a bit of a taste. Ah, got my capsicum. Pas de soleil, 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 pas de soleil. That's been going for about 6 hours. It needs a little bit of cayenne pepper and a little bit of extra salt. I did put a tablespoon of chia seeds in just to thicken it up a little bit.